We had some pretty tough games this last week, and they were all fairly close. Well, most of them. There were only two games that were a little bit questionable at the end. This is Sports Hour. Alright, last week, I had the right thing up here. That's not it. Give me a second here. Alright, so this last week was an interesting week for most games. And everyone did fairly well in the actual regular period positions. I did 15-5, which was the second best. Lily did 16-4. John did kind of terribly with a 8-12. Runner did 14-6. 14-6. Little Dog did slightly better, and Puppy did. The current rankings, as you see, I am currently still first. Although everyone's pretty much catching up, and Puppy's actually in the wrong position here. But anyways, it's he's actually better than John. Anyways, for these last couple of weeks, the biggest thing was the game of the week, which was absolutely a blowout. How the Lions are absolutely got demolished by the Warriors, who are 7-1. These are actually not correct score lines. You can see them on here if you want to go into, but we'll get to it anyways. The two games that really matter were the two games that went to overtime. The Knights and Legends game ended up being a 1-point score. And it was because of a penalty that was caused on the last play of the game. And according to the rules of in the NBL, they have one free shot, and they made a shot. The same thing happened to the Bulldogs and Angels game. Although the Bulldogs were absolutely demolishing them in most of the quarters, they ended up coming back in the last quarter. I believe they scored 33 points in the last quarter. The Angels did, versus the Bulldogs, who only scored 13. It was a pretty wild game for that one going out to this game. But anyways, the Panthers and Pirates. Our Panthers currently number one defense, and the Pirates are number one defense, and then probably they're number one offense. Let's go with this week's games. It's going to be an interesting matchups here. First off, we have the Cardinals and the Foxes. This is going to be a very hard game for the Foxes. And it's going to be an absolute blowout for this one. The Foxes and Cardinals games. And looking at the division standings, the Cardinals have very little chance of actually making the playoffs at this point. In fact, no team has ever made the playoffs after starting 1-7. There was a team that went 0-8 and made the playoffs still, but that was just because of the weird. That's because that was the eighth, and back 2 years ago, so they made the playoffs in their first official season. But this is just going to be an absolute blowout. If we look at the actual score lines for this one, Cardinals being down here in dead last and being in kind of the middle 19th. Versus you have the other team, the Foxes, who are 6th and 8th. This is going to be an absolute blowout. Everyone's going with the Foxes. I agree with them. I don't think there's any chance that the Cardinals win this game. Ravens and the Kings. Didn't they play last week? No, they didn't. Okay. Ravens and the Kings play at 3 o'clock on Saturday. This is actually a very tough matchup. Ravens being 16th seed, 16th defense, and the 14th offense. Is that right? No, the 34th offense versus the other way around. We have the Kings, who are 9th in offense and 28th in defense. This could be a very tough game. The problem is the Ravens are going to be a little bit of have a hard time because of their injuries this last hit. I did not update the injury list. Let me go ahead and do that right now here. And it's the Ravens may have a tough time. They have 2 players who are currently injured. Luke Long is injured for the Chargers. He was injured last week. I just never went over it. He got injured late in that game, and unfortunately, he will not be able to play this week. It was, unfortunately, their two of their best players, both these players right now, are unable right now to play. They both collided with one of the goalposts, and they are out for the week. Now that doesn't really hurt them so much. They're still in a very good position. They're still at a 84, so not really a terrible hit. They only went down by a few points. But this might hurt them because they were one of the two highest scorers in the game. Kings, on the other hand, don't have anyone injured, and this could be an either way. This is probably the reason that John and Puppy are going for it. All right, it could be an either way game. I'm going to give the edge to the Ravens in this game, but I think this could be an either way game. Angels and UNC. Angels and UNC. This is going to be a tough one. And Angels coming off with a very close game. Almost won that game. They were losing most of that game in the back end. Versus UNC, who took a win this week, being the Beagles, who are about the same rating they are. So this could be an either way game as well. The thing is, Angels were in a very bad position. They were not doing well. They have not done communications well. And this is going to be a game where they're going to have to communicate because the UNC is very, very good. And if they don't do so, they're not going to win. And as of right now, I just don't see UNC losing this game to the Angels. I'm going to go with UNC winning that game. I'm going to update this. If I copy this. There we go. Did I lose me? No, that's why. Anyways, going on to the Saints and Jets game. Saints coming off a win against their opponents, the Falcons. Yeah. And then the Jets coming off with a win as well against the Athens. This is going to be a very interesting matchup here because these teams are both very advanced. They're not the best teams. They're not the worst teams. As of right now, if you look at the Jets, the Jets are third in offense, but 33rd in defense versus the Saints, who are 14th in defense, but 31st in offense. This is a good match. Now, I honestly think the offense is going to be what's going to win this game in the end. And unfortunately, I just don't see the Saints winning this game. It's going to be a very close one, and I think it will end up being a defensive battle. And for that reason, though, I'm going to have to say the Jets are going to win this game. Pirates and the Indians. Pirates currently number 1 in the league in defense and number 14 in offense versus the Indians, who are one of the lowest being there, 33rd in offense, but only 10th in defense. So both of this could be a very defensive battle between these two teams. The problem is, if you look back at the last couple of weeks, you look at the Indians. Indians get demolished by the Tigers, who were not very good. And then you got Indians who get demolished by Nets. And if we went back another week, I'm pretty sure, or you would see the Indians would be getting demolished. Where Indians here? Indians. Well, okay, that was a close game. But they're not, that's not the best team right now. So, I mean, honestly, it's not going to be an easy game for them to win, because we're the number 1 defense. I just don't see it winning. I'm going to go with Pirates here. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be another one of those games that's going to be an absolute blowout for the Pirates winning this game, especially since they have not won a game yet, and that's just the way it has to go. All right, the Lightning and the Knights. Knights coming off a win. Lightning coming off a loss. Knights are right here. Their offense is 15th in the league currently. Their defense is 21st. Not a bad score. Lightning, on the other hand, are 11th in defense and 28th in the actual offense. Unfortunately, that's going to be what's going to make it break the game. They don't have anyone injured, anything like that, but they just don't have a score line. I think that their strategy is going to go to the Knights in this game, and I think they're going to win this game. Lynx and the Lions, a very tough game. Not only that, it is a divisional game. No, it's not. Wait, is it? Yeah, Lynx and Lightning are playing right now for last place in the division. Of course, everyone else in the division is good. If you can see, the Warriors are 7-1, the Otters are 6-2, Packers and the Lynx are both 5-3, and Lions are just happen being on glow. They're all really good teams. So that means the Lynx and Lions are just happening in the heart of the division. Now, if we go to I think the Lynx and Lions have played. Yes, they did. They played where the Lions were able to were lost that game. It was a close game, and unfortunately, the way we're playing away at that point, they were at the Lynx. So unfortunately, with the Lynx being playing in a place that's not convenient, this is gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt to the underdog in this one. They're underdogs by 3 points. I'm gonna go with the Lynx winning this game. Although this is gonna be a very tough game. Westville and Chargers. Chargers are gonna get demolished. There's just stance. They can't keep their own. They can't get out of their own way. They still have the most penalties. 118 penalties for the Panthers 15. Yeah, that's last, by the way. 40th minutes. And they have not a single way to not have a single game where they have had at least 4 penalties. Their closest game actually was this last week, where they had 4 penalties exactly. Unfortunately, I just don't see them winning this game. Westville, on the other hand, in a much better position. They are currently 5th in the league in the fewest amount of penalties. This is just going to be it. Now, I don't have that all written out for you guys. I do have it over here, but it's going to be it's just not relevant. So that's what we're going to go with. Legends and the Stars. This is going to actually be a very interesting game right here. The Stars are currently 7-1, 3rd in the league in defense, and 22nd in offense. Versus the Legends, who don't even exist apparently, who are 5th in the league, so not much better and much better. I think it's going to go to the Legends here, even though I think the Stars do have a much better record and all that. I just don't see the Stars winning this game. I'm going to go with the Legends winning this game. This is going to be a very tough game, though. Tigers and Panthers. I don't really need to say much about this. Panthers are number 1 in the league in points, even though they're 20th in the league in defensive, which is not really that hard because they have been doing better the last couple of weeks. If you look back at week 7, Panthers absolutely demolished the Bears. Last week, they absolutely demolished the Dogs. But great, these teams weren't the best. So this is going to be interesting to say. I don't know if the Panthers deserve to be the number 1 seed right now, but the Tigers are not going to win this game. Even though public would think so. Colts and Ants. This could have easily been the game of the week if they weren't so bad. Colts are 21st and 39th. Falcons are 4th, even though they have one of the worst minutes, and 35th. I think the defense is going to be what's going to save the Falcons for this game. It's going to be a very, very tough game, though. Dragons and Hawks. This is, I think, will be the second time these two teams have played. I don't need to see more. If I'm right about that, I think it's the second time they will have played. It might even be the third time because there's going to be 2 teams that have played. Yeah, Dragons. Oh, they have not played yet. Wait, what? Oh, never mind. They were not in the same division. But they do play very often, and generally the Dragons win. But in this case, I think the Hawks are doing a lot better right now. Sure, yes. The Dragons do have won. Looking at the skink here. Dragons have won 12 of their last 13 occurrences, which is the last 13 seasons, 15 seasons. But this year, I think the Hawks are going to do a whole lot better, and this is going to be the way it works for it. Bobcats and the Techs. Okay. Bobcats, Techs. Bobcats currently 30th and 9th. Techs, as of right now, 13th and 29th. These guys are basically exact opposite of teams. Both these teams are actually really good. And I think, honestly, it really comes down to which team has better scoring points. And really, that's what it's going to come out to. I just don't see which these teams can actually win this game. It's going to be a tough game either way. I think this game could easily be a tie, which will be the second one that has occurred. I'm going to go, in this case, if we get a tie, by the way, we do get points for both of those. But I'm going to have to say, I'm going to go with the Techs here. I think the Techs have a better chance of winning this game. It's going to be a very tough one for both these teams. Okay, Bob, the Packers and the Leland Cats. Leland Cats 8-0. They might still remain 8-0, and unfortunately, I think they're going to remain 8-0. I just don't see. I just do not see the anyone beating the Leland Cats at this point. Looking at the Leland Cats, originally, I go find the Leland Cats because they're originally I believe they were predicted to be 6-10. Well, they've absolutely been blown out of each one of those games. 4 of the games where they're predicted to lose, they have won by at least 20 points. Okay, well, the Saints game was the first game, wasn't it? But they were getting started at that point. I just do not see it. I mean, I don't see them losing against the Packers, the 8th. I think the Legends are going to be their first real challenge. Then you got the Cardinals, the Jets. Those are going to be easy wins. Bulldogs should be an easy win. It's going to come down to Week 15 against the Panthers to really decide which team will be remaining undefeated. I think they will run the tables except for the Panthers. I think they're going to go in the end 15-1, and they will be the number 1 seed in the NBL or in the ABL. Athens and Dolphins. I did not get the Dolphins. Let me get the Dolphins real quickly here. 3-5. Athens and Dolphins are both very kind of like teams. Athens are currently 8th, but they're 34th in points allowed, versus the other side, the Dolphins, who are actually pretty average in both sides. This is going to be an absolute interesting game for me, and I just don't even know where to predict this. I would say this is a tie, but also another game that could easily be a tie. But I'm going to give the edge to the Dolphins here. I think the Dolphins do have a better chance. Eagles and Bulldogs. We got the Bulldogs, which are 6th in points and 26th in off scoring. Beagles, on the other hand, are 5th in scoring and 35th in points allowed. This is a really interesting game because both these teams have a really good chance of winning. Runners going with the Bulldogs, and honestly, with the fact that the Eagles are so much better in scoring, I mean, look at the scoring difference. I mean, looking at the Bulldogs. Bulldogs only getting 385 versus the 777 jackpot. And then the Bulldogs are getting 633 versus the Beagles allowing 735. I just do not have a clue of who wins this game. In my opinion, I think it's going to come down to the wire. And I'm going to go with I think I go with the Eagles winning this game. It'll be a close one, though. Come back to the Warriors game. Browns and the Werewolves. I also did not do the Werewolves. Werewolves being 5-3 versus the Browns. I think it's an easy win for the Werewolves. I just don't see them winning. Giants and Dogs. Giants and Dogs are both terrible. They are playing in a completely different location. It's not Bank of America Stadium, by the way. Yeah, it's not Bank of America Stadium. It's London. No, I'm kidding. It's not London. But they are playing in a different location that we've never hit. It is Kingston. This is on the other side of the country. All you guys know these don't exist, but the thing is, Kingston is they're playing over there. Great. Well, it changed that. My bad. We just corrected. They are playing at Baker McD. Not at 9 p.m. It's at what time? What time are they playing? Okay, so they are playing at 7:30 p.m. on Sunday, which will be in a weird position because the previous game will have just ended. So in theory, they could play at 8. Is that right? They're gonna say it's probably they're gonna people by the Eagle that work with me say it's probably gonna end up happening at 8. That's just the way it works, Brad. This is gonna be a tough one for me. But looking at the Giants are in really bad scores both sides. The Dogs are at least doing at least decent in nothing. Dogs are doing terrible hits. I'm gonna go with the Giants win this game, but this is just a complete. This should be a slaughter to one of the teams. I don't know which one, but slaughter to one of them. Superman versus the Bears could have easily been the game of the week if it wasn't on Monday. 7th and 20th. 20th for 7th because the other way around is 20th offense, 7th defense versus the Bears, who are 23rd defense, 5th offense. This could be a very either way. In my opinion, this is going to be a tough game for either one. It's hitting at 4 o'clock on Monday, which is a ridiculous time to do a Monday. They want to play it so late. But this is going to be an interesting game. And honestly, I don't know who to say who wins this game. I might even flip a coin. Head says that Superman wins. I don't even know who's going to win this game. This is going to be a tough win for me. I'm going to go with Superman because that's what my coin flip said. But I don't know. Finally, the Warriors and the Otters. I don't even know how to say how much this game is going to mean for it. Warriors are number 2 in the league in defense, but number 31st in offense versus the Otters, who are 25th. And second, so it's exactly opposite. They're exact opposite. I think it's going to come down to the defensive battle for me, and I hate to say this. But even though I would like to say the Otters, I think it's going to be the Warriors to win this game. It's going to be a very close game, a very close matchup, but that's going to be what I think it's going to be. If you guys want to take control of a team, you have 2 more weeks to do so. Never mind, it's this week. So if you have until Tuesday of next week, which will be the 4th of next week, in order to get this going, to be able to get control of the team. Otherwise, unfortunately, can't take control of the team. It's a little bit too phased in the season. You are still, however, allowed to predict and make some comments down below in each of these videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Next week, it will be an interesting week as well. I think we have some pretty big news coming up. Oh, one more thing before we get into this. Before we get into this, I want to explain once again, because you guys missed the last video, of how it works for the seats. The way it works is it's finalized. Is if you are in the top 3, you're insured, no matter what happens, to get into the final, the tournament of 32, which will be there's 5 for each one. You'll get there will be 3 for each one of them. Is that right? It's 16 on each side. So as long as you get in the top 3, so as of right now, these teams are all in. Continuing on down the list. If you don't, if you're not in the top 3, that is, you're being the bottom 2 here, you play for position, which means if you win, you get into the final, into the 16. If you lose, you're out. That's the way it works. And the playoffs, by the way, are right here. If the playoffs were to happen today, we have what, 9? We only have a few weeks left to go, because the season ends 16 weeks. It had been 18 weeks. It's now 16 weeks. So if you guys thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next video. Thank you for watching Sports Hour, and don't forget to keep your game on. And comment down below who you think is going to win this week. See you next video. Don't forget to keep your game on. Right? Have a good night.